Hello. So, welcome to today's live honey tasting. And I am joined by the wonderful Helen Rogers, who's a honey sommelier in London. And it's so good. It's so good to have you here, Helen.
Thank
And
you.
it's so good knowing you because whenever people ask me where can I get honey from in London, I just say, Helen, just go to Helen.
Oh, that's really kind. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. But this honey has got some great stories. And I ordered this from your website, but after tasting it at the honey show. So, would you like to share a bit about your honey?
Well, the honey that you're tasting today is from the hives just outside this window here, which is a roof terrace on top of my house. And I have this most amazing view all the way over London. So we're south facing here. I'm in Highgate, which is in North London, and we look out over the city, and it's just fabulous. And my hives here and in a couple of my other apiaries very occasionally get this incredible honey in them. And it's honey from the tree of heaven, which is just the most beautiful name for a tree. And it's an extremely distinctive honey. And I first learnt this honey when I was doing my training in Italy, like Paula's done. And it's I would never have been able to identify it if I hadn't have done that training, because it's a very distinctive honey, but I would never have pinpointed what it was. And after training in Italy, I was extracting some honey from one of my hives here, and I extract the honey super by super in all of my hives, which makes it a lot of extra work for me. But I do it because I get some very distinct monofloral honeys occasionally, and this is a good example of that. So I was extracting this super, and suddenly I could smell this tropical. I always think it smells like warm peaches. That's the it's a fruity tropical lychee. And I was so excited because I knew straight away what it was. And then it came out of the extractor and I could recognize the color, and I couldn't wait to taste it. And of course, it's the fabulous tree of heaven. So yeah, it's set there. But when it's runny, it's, very golden color. It's quite a liquid honey. And it's, as I say, unlike anything else. So there we are. That's how I discovered that I had tree of heaven. But what I didn't know is where these trees were. So the Latin is ailanthus, and apparently it's indigenous in China and Taiwan. And during the 1700s, I think, like the mad plant collectors were going around the world, and they sent seeds back to Europe, including to, I think it was Chelsea Physic Garden, actually, that they sent the seeds to. That's where they first were grown in this country. And so now we have some in the UK. Unfortunately, the tree of heaven has another name, which is often given to it, and that is the tree of hell. And the reason it's called the tree of hell is because it is a nightmare tree. It's invasive, and it's on the list of invasive species for the UK. So it's actually illegal to sell these trees because they're really difficult to get rid of, because they send up suckers all over the place. And if you chop it down, the root system still exists and it'll send up suckers all over the place. They're extremely fast growing, and as I said, very, very difficult to get rid of. So I'm extremely fortunate that there are a few in our neighbourhood, but I'm sorry, if you haven't got them in your neighbourhood, it's illegal for you to plant them.
So Claire actually sells plants. I mean, not trees, but yeah. So even if you like the sound of this honey, Claire,
I know.
well,
I suddenly crossed it off the list.
It's in the category of Japanese knotweed. It's that bad. It's horrific.
Yeah.
If you're looking at a property with one of these in the garden, run a mile.
Yeah, pick
You
another house, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they'll grow through concrete. It said it's said that, they'll grow on nothing. It's a bit
Mm,
like buddleias, how
yeah.
they'll
Mm.
grow out of the sides of buildings and stuff. It's a similar kind of thing.
So a real
But
pioneer plant.
Yeah.
yeah.
So where on earth, are those trees of heaven if you're in the middle of London?
Oh, so that's another story. So I've made it a mission to track them down, um, because I hadn't seen any around knowingly, and I didn't really know what they looked like anyway. So I looked up online what they look like, and the leaves a bit like an ash tree, they're sort of
Mhm.
pointed in pairs, so a bit like that. And I started walking around, and it took me weeks to track down some of them, and then I got my eye in, and I noticed a few other ones around. So the first ones that I found were actually in the middle of a council estate.
Oh.
There's a small park, and there's 2 or 3 really established trees. They must be, I don't know, 30 years old or something. They're over 50 foot high, and full of flowers.
Mhm.
So yeah, you could actually sometimes a lime tree, when it's in full flower, you can hear the bees on it. It was like that.
Wow. And what
Yeah.
do the flowers look like?
They're how would I describe? The thing is, the trees are very kind of nondescript. They're a bit scrubby looking. They're not a beautiful tree like an oak tree or a lime tree or something like that. They're a bit scrappy looking. And the flowers are like, a wisteria with lots of little flowers. It's like that, but white.
Hmm.
They're not a beautiful looking thing at all. And apparently, I've read, and I don't know if it's true or not because I haven't been able to get close enough to them, but you get male and female trees, and the male flowers stink. They're really unpleasant.
Oh
So
god.
I'm not selling this tree, but the honey.
Well, the honey is another level. And so is there still one of these Tree of Heavens in Chelsea Physic Garden, do you know?
I don't know actually, because I haven't been to visit since I read that. So I'll have to go, and I'll report back.
Yeah. No, I'd love to know. We're actually going up to London this weekend, so I'll keep my eye out for, we're not planning to go to Chelsea Physic Garden, but, we'll see.
Yeah, they'll be hard to identify at this time of the year because they've
Yeah.
lost their leaves, but
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
But apparently they're also used, I'm not sure which bit of the tree, but they're used in Chinese medicine as well.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
Obviously they're from there, so makes sense, but I'm not sure what they do.
yeah. Take you to heaven maybe, or hell. Maybe it, you know, has psychedelic properties or something.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think they also use them for a silk moth, not the mulberry one, but there's one that lives on these trees.
Wow.
So yeah, they're all good. Maybe we should all start making silk in London perhaps, and then we could have more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is interesting, and the whole invasive species thing is interesting as well, because if a plant thrives somewhere, you have to wonder why is it thriving, and is it giving any benefit through its thriving?
Indeed, yes. I think, perhaps it's trying to tell us that we should all have silk sheets or something.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be nice. So so you've got some as well.
Yep.
Oh, so yeah, lifting the lid, you definitely get the tropical fruit. Yeah, and
Mm.
it is that warm peaches, isn't it? Rather than a fresh peach off a tree,
Yeah.
it's that slightly cooked, where you'd get them in a tin in the 90, as a kid. I was gonna say in the 70s, but you can still get warm peaches, can't you? But
Yeah, I
have
guess you
them
can.
warmed up with, custard or something,
Yeah.
or a sponge. Yeah, amazing.
School dinners, brilliant.
Mm. So, yeah, as you said, mine's crystallized, so it's not gonna drop off the spoon. Mm. Wow. So it is slightly bitter, but it's got that melon, a real freshness of tropical fruit.
For me, it's light cheese, you know?
Mm,
Actually, they're Chinese, aren't they?
mm,
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yes, they are light
Wow.
cheese.
So in my notes, I pulled out my notes. It says here, light brown, pine, amber, a medium odor of roasted mushrooms, which I'm not getting at all. Animal, cat pee, Sauvignon wine, which I wouldn't know. Yeah, not getting any of that. Then the taste, metallic, almond, slightly bitter. I'm getting the slightly bitter. I'm going to write lychees because that is definitely. And then soluble, yeah. So with the crystals, they are really soluble. So it's not like any granules or any grittiness at all.
Yeah, it's quite soft in your mouth, isn't it?
Yeah. Now you can see why with those notes I would never have identified it.
Yeah.
But in my other notes somewhere, which thankfully I took when I did level 3, um, I take we had that last section where you taste like 5 honeys and you've got to guess, what they are. And we were all sort of tasting and tasting, and there was quite a long period of time before they brought the next sample. So it was very easy to taste one and be bored because you had too much time. So if you taste it and you thought, oh, I know what that is, you'd write it down, and then there's nothing to do. But at the same time, if you taste it and had no idea what it was a long time to wait. And you could hear that lots of people kept on tasting. And with this one, in the exam, I tasted it and I really didn't know what it was. So I think I did a random guess, like either a citrus or a thyme, because we'd had a really crazy thyme sample and a crazy citrus sample that didn't taste anything like either of them. And I
Right.
sort of picked up that fruitiness and I thought, well, maybe it's one of those. So I just wrote it and I thought, I'm not going to overtaste. So I just sat and resigned myself to it. And I'm waiting for this now because while I was waiting, I just read through all my notes. And in my notes somewhere, it says that you have this persistent aftertaste, but after a pause. So you have nothing, and then suddenly you get this ping. So I haven't had the ping yet,
Yeah. It's a
but
very long flavour, isn't it?
it is. But during that exam, I'd sort of taken my test. Oh, here we go. It's coming back now. And then I just put down some random honey. And then I was reading all my notes, and obviously somewhere it had gone in about this ping afterwards, but I never really experienced it. And because you always keep on tasting, you don't give your mouth that opportunity. And then while I was looking through my notes and sat there, suddenly I had this ping of flavour in my mouth. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is doing heaven. And I was so excited and I wrote it down. And there was only about 2 of us who got it in that section. And I was so pleased with myself because I thought,
That's really
yes.
great. No, it's good. For me in the exam, it was the one honey that I could pick out of any of them. And it's an old, it's like an old friend when you really recognise a honey, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, there you are. I know
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah. Dandelions like that for me. Or the sweet chestnut.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because when we first did the, level 1, I knew no honeys. English honey was heather, rapeseed, or spring, summer, autumn.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any honeys. I hadn't even tasted a heather honey, I don't think, before I went there. And when they came around and you smell all of them first, you have 18 samples that you sniff, and you sort of describe what you're smelling. And the sweet chestnut, I was just blown away by it. I smelt it and I thought, wow, I love this. This smells amazing. And then the sample came round and we could scoop a bit out. And I was shocked at how small people were taking tiny, tiny samples. And I was like, well, this has got to be the best honey. So I took a massive spoonful and put it in my mouth, and oh my gosh. And sweet chestnut is far from sweet. It is just,
It's very bitter, isn't it?
oh, an Italian sweet chestnut. I mean, you would never really want more than one spoonful, I think, in a lifetime. And then and I had this one spoonful, and it was like, "What do I do with it?" I've got to swallow it, and it was so vile. But it imprinted in my mind, so I can spot sweet chestnut from like 100 meters.
That's
But yeah,
brilliant.
and this is it. You need to learn. You need to have those associations with honey, don't you? And
Mm.
now you've got this memory of harvesting it. You've got the apiary, looking round for the trees. So you're really knowing,
Yeah.
you're knowing everything about it. I've got to get another spoon of this because it is so nice.
No, I mean, I wish we produced more of it, but I'm lucky if it's 3 supers in a year.
Mm.
But
How many
that's best.
jars does that equate to?
Well, I jar in quite large jars, so it's about 90.
Mm.
Yeah, like that.
All right.
So it's not loads, but
No.
if I could produce more of that, I'd be sitting on a gold mine.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and what was interesting was at the honey show, you were on the Honey Guild stand where you had honey tasting. So you've got British honeys for people, for the public who have not gone through the training to actually taste the honeys. Oh yeah, it's that lemon peel, isn't it? It's like the
Yeah.
skin of lemon. No. Um, and they were all tasting them, and then they could put a star on a chart of their favorite honey. And which honey was the people's favorite?
Well, it was far and away, I mean, beyond anything else, the favourite. Maybe 3 or 4 times more than any of the other honeys. It was everyone's favourite, so that was very nice. And of course, everyone wanted a jar, and I don't have any more, so that's that. You
Oh.
have to wait till next year.
And what's really interesting about that is it's not known as a native British honey. And what I have found doing honey tastings is quite often people's favourite honey is the one they grew up with. It's the one they're most familiar with. And
Yeah.
yet very few people would have been familiar with that. And yet it is still your favourite honey. So that's a testament to how good it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's so different to your average, what's that mean? Average honey. And it's so unexpected as well. Yeah, it was interesting having them all side by side like that, because it's the only place that you can do that with British honeys. And yeah, the Guild stand is always a huge draw at shows, which is great.
No, it's brilliant. And it's lovely the work you're doing with the honeys and, really raising awareness that honey isn't just spring or summer. You can have all these different floral varieties. And then it does connect with the plants because when people have a great honey, they then want to have more of it. So sowing those seeds, having more of those plants. So that makes Tree of Heaven even more unique because you just can't, you know, unless somebody had their own little island and they could cover the whole island in Tree of Heaven.
Oh, that's it. Maybe we should commandeer like an island on the Isles of Scilly or something,
Yeah.
or the Isle of Wight. Let it run rampant and then
Yeah.
stick loads of hives there in June.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So that was the next question actually is when does it bloom and how long does it bloom for?
Well, it's usually around the end of June. Obviously, it's weather dependent, and I don't think it flowers for very long. I don't know. I haven't monitored it closely, but yeah, it's usually pretty short, and it just comes on the back of the lime. So our lime, I can pretty much say lime always flowers in the second week of June in London, round us. I know in other parts of London it's a bit different, but ours seems very consistent. And then as soon as the lime is going over, then you get the Tree of Heaven.
Wow. Because there's some similarities, I think, with the tasting. So you could quite feasibly have a Tree of Heaven honey, but thinking it's lime. Maybe
For
that's
sure,
what I put it
yeah.
down. And especially with that bitterness, because that's one of, particularly in Italy, that's one of the sort of signature things you look for with lime tree honey is that bitterness, but then that comes from the sweet chestnut, which we
Yeah,
don't
which is also flowering at the same time. So, we've
really.
I don't know around you, do you have a lot of sweet chestnuts? Yeah.
We didn't, although the newt has planted quite a lot, so over the next 5-10 years, there's gonna be more. But
Yeah,
here, our lime trees blossom around midsummer, so it's
yeah,
always around Glastonbury Festival, so
right.
then
So you're
and
just
then
that little bit later. It's
yeah.
interesting because a lot of horse chestnuts around here have become diseased, with that nasty thing,
Yeah.
and they've been replacing them with sweet chestnuts, which is brilliant from a beekeeper's point of view.
Yes. Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see over the years if we start getting some sweet chestnut honey or if it starts tainting our lime.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it was when I took my sample of lime tree honey to Bologna, and when you taste your own honeys,
Yeah,
we all did a descriptor of it, and that's what really threw out, well, all of us really, because it didn't have the bitterness.
yeah,
And then, Gianluigi was saying, "Well, this is definitely a lime tree, but it doesn't have the bitterness." And that's when I could see that similarity, or, how you need to have the sweet chestnut at the same time. So,
yeah.
the training there is so important because you're bringing together all these little bits of information that help build a stronger picture of our
Well,
honey.
that's the joy of having people from so many different countries there as well. Because if you were just all from the same place, it would be quite limited, but having now connections all over the world, thanks to that training, we learn stuff like that. Because you may have assumed that lime always has a bitterness to it, and we
Mm.
know from our lime that that's just not the case.
No, no. Oh, well, thank you so much, Helen. It's just been such a joy, and I do love
Pleasure.
your honey. This is one that is not going anywhere near the toaster for my husband to finish. This will be a jar that I'll be keeping for ages, and there'll be that much left for years.
That's top shelf honey.
It is, or at the back. Or to really hide it from my husband, in the veg drawer of the fridge, salad tray. But,
All right. Thank you for having me, Paula.
no, thank you very much. So, until tomorrow, thanks for joining.